Hi, my name is Laura. I'm from a small town in eastern Iowa, and this is week number 4 of my Every Bite Counts challenge that's hosted by Jessica at Three Rivers Homestead. And I'm starting off with some apple mint leaves that I cut, and I'm just laying them out to dry. And I'm just going to put them on this little basket. I've done this before, and they will sit there and air dry. Next up, I was going through our freezer here inside the kitchen that's attached to the fridge, and I found a whole bunch of random bags and containers of berries. So I'm just gonna make a multi-berry syrup, if you will. I did go ahead and wash these berries before I put them in the fridge. I just washed them inside the container and then froze them. So I found 2 packages of those beautiful blackberries. And one of the last times I was at my parents' house, it was probably a couple months ago actually, she gave me this bag of random fruit. So you'll see I add those in. Oh, I guess I had some extra blackberries as well in a container. But so I had this random bag of, I think it had like cherries in it, blueberries, strawberries, all sorts of stuff. So I'm adding that in here. It's a little freezer burnt, but I think it's just fine for the jam. The syrup, I don't think it'll be noticeable. And then the last bag I'm opening over here is a bag of raspberries, and these are the ones I got from the Amish. I think it was like 75 cents a pint, and so I ended up freezing a whole bunch of those for later use, and now we're at later use. So I am going to let this just sit in this pot and kind of thaw out a bit while I go ahead with my day. Well, that day came and gone. So it's the next day. I've heated it up, cooking the berries nice and through, and I'm just taking my immersion blender and blending it all up. You can move it to your stand blender, but I don't really like using hot liquid in that. So immersion blender, and I know my husband does not like seeds. And I don't like blackberry seeds too much either, so I'm going to just basically just strain it through this little sieve here. I'm okay if we get raspberry seeds. Those ones are fine. They're small enough they don't bug him much. And I'm just going to try and get as many seeds out as possible. That was taking way too much time that I didn't have, so I got out my food mill. This was actually my grandma's. She had 2, and when I started getting into canning, she gave me one of hers, so I love it. And I use it literally all the time. So it permanently has a space in my kitchen cabinet. And that went so much faster and smoother, except for I was splattering myself, so I had to go get my apron. So I went ahead and got all that through. I did give the seeds and all that goodies to the chickens, and they were very, very happy with me. So now I'm just going to put it back in my original pot and heat it up. And I am going to sweeten this a little bit because I want it to be sweet enough that it tastes really good on pancakes or waffles. So I was out of sugar in my kitchen, so I had to go get my bucket. And I believe I added like 3 cups of sugar to this, and that was pretty much perfect for us. Now you don't have to, but I did opt to put some lemon juice in. I think it just adds so much flavor, and it doesn't hurt to add a little bit more acid to it, especially when we're canning, because we're going to water bath can this. All right, I went ahead and grabbed some jars, and I'm just going to start filling them up. This is quite warm. My jars are a little warm. They came out of the dishwasher. When I do stuff like this, I never quite know how much it's going to make. So I am hoping for at least these 3 jars at this point. It was smelling so good. I was very excited for this. And also, I ended up putting some in some ice water, and it was like, what was like the water enhancers, like a Mio. And it was absolutely delicious. So that definitely will be happening again in the future. So as you can see, I have 2 quarts and a pint. I ended up using I had put in the pint to fill that quart. And I put that pint just in the fridge, and that's what I've been sneaking out of to put in my water for like water flavoring. And the other 2 jars I'll can. So I'm wiping my rims with vinegar, white vinegar, new lids, rings, and this small one here, I'm just going to find a lid and throw it in the fridge. And you'll process these for 10 minutes for pints. I did 20 minutes for the quarts. So this is the very last bit of my pears. And as you can tell, I have a band-aid on my one finger. I got into a fight with the peeler last time, so I'm opting to not peel these and just do chunks. So instead I got my juicer out, and I am going to make some pear juice. One of our coworkers was drinking some pear juice, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds amazing. So I'm just going through, I'm cutting out any bad spots, putting them in my chicken bowl here, and I'm just going to run this through my juicer until I've gone through them all. So as it fills up the cup, I'm going to transfer it to a jug, but all the dry ends come out in this little bowl, and I give those to the chickens as well. So here's my fresh juice, and I'm just putting it into this 1-gallon jug. I'm spilling. I learn, I promise. But my goal was to get 1 gallon of this juice here. And I figured if I didn't get enough, I could always juice some of those apples there in the background and, you know, bulk it up if I needed to. So this was my last one. I got over 1 gallon, so I'm happy about that. My intent was to can this, but it's being drank as is, so yeah. Otherwise, I would have just followed the apple juice instructions, but this is pretty tasty. I also did add lemon juice inside these jugs to keep it from browning. As you can see, the foam is browning, and it's delicious, and I would highly recommend. We have had storm after storm after storm, and my apple tree has just been losing apples, and I tried to save some that had fallen, but they're just already attacked by bugs. So I came out today to harvest off this tree, because this is my early tree, as many apples as I could reach. I got this crate full, and I still have to go out and use my picker and get the rest. So today my son and I are going with one of my friends to a zoo, which is a couple hour drive away, and I wanted to get some applesauce started. We have tons of applesauce, but I wanted some more to use for like when school starts coming up here. So I'm going through my apples. Some of them are, well, as you can see, not great. Others are beautiful. So I'm just going through them. Whatever I don't use today for this applesauce, I plan on juicing. We have a special setup we are going to at least use this year. And So I'm really excited for that, and I'm really excited to document that. But for today, we're just going to fill this crock pot with as many good apples as we can, along with some lemon juice and a little bit of water, and make some applesauce. With school coming up here, let's see, we have 1 week left of summer break. My mind is just completely in lunchbox mode. So I have these special pouches, so I'm going to put some applesauce in the pouches so it's easy to eat for lunch. And I'm just completely absorbed in what to send Oliver for school lunch this year. It's his first year having lunch at school, so I'm a little nervous, super excited. Just topping it off with a little bit more lemon juice. And I'm just going to put this in the crock pot on low for 8 hours. And I'll check it when we get home from the zoo and see how it's doing. We got back a couple hours ago, but we had to do showers and nap because it was like 100 and some heat index. It was ridiculous. And then I went out to the garden, so it's almost bedtime now for Oliver, so he's hanging out with Daddy, and I am trying to finish his applesauce tonight. So once again, I got out my food mill because I left the skin and the pits on. Or, I'm sorry, the skin and the seeds in. So I don't really want those in applesauce, and I didn't feel like peeling them this morning. So I'm using my grandma's food mill, which pushes it all through nice and beautiful. Unlike the pears where I would just take my immersion blender to it. But I don't want the peels and seeds obviously in this. So I'm going to let this do all the work for me. So I'm putting it back into my crock pot insert, which I did wash. Now my crock pot's different. It's not a stone, and it's like okay to go on the stove. It was one of the selling factors for me. So I put it back in, I put it on the stove, and I am sweetening it and adding some cinnamon to it. That's how we like our applesauce. For me, the amount of sugar all just depends on the apple. These were a bit tart. So, like I said, we have a ton of applesauce downstairs, so I'm only going to can this one jar, and I'm just going to water bath it. And then these other 2 jars, I'm going to put in the fridge so that I can fill pouches for school when I do all my lunchbox prep next weekend. And so now I'm going to wash my rims with some vinegar, even the ones I'm not canning because they don't need to be all dirty and icky. And that 1 single jar will be water bath. These other 2 in the fridge. Thanks for joining this week. I hope you guys join us next week as we have a lot of fun with more apples. And also, tonight I picked my first beautiful peach off my peach trees. So hopefully I'll have some of that to show you next week as well. Thanks, guys.